Well, as we head towards the end of another week of shutdowns, there are plenty of questions about the way forward for schools and whether we might be able to ease some of those restrictions in the near future.
Here with his thoughts is the ABC's health expert, Dr Norman Swan from RN's Health Report. Hey Norman, good morning to you. Let's start with schools. We all know at the very start of this you were very strong on this. I think, if I'm quoting you directly, urging governments to stop dicking around and close schools. A few weeks on and looking at where the debate is now, where do you stand on schools? Should students be going back in anything resembling en masse numbers?
Well, it's not so much where I stand, it's where the evidence stands. There was a review of the evidence last week in The Lancet, which really mirrored what came out a few weeks ago from Imperial College London in terms of mathematical modelling, that if you have schools completely open, the spread from children contributes between 2% and 4%, 2% to 4% of deaths from COVID-19 and about 10% of spread. So it's not huge spread, but it's there and it's significant. And it's really a question of policy as to the yin and yang here in terms of the risks versus benefits. There's no question that it's disruptive to families, to people who need to get to work, but it also does contribute to control. So I think it is a fine issue. Now, the issue here in Australia, so let me just pull back a little bit and then you can zero back in on schools. The issue here is that on a rolling average, we are at 40 or 50 cases a day. Some states are tantalizingly close to zero spread. They've almost eliminated the virus. South Australia, Western Australia, with very widespread testing. And the tantalizing prospect here is because we're an island, because we've got nobody coming in from overseas, that we could eliminate the virus effectively within a few weeks in Australia. And the question then is, and this will be in Dan Andrews' minds and other premiers, is the extent to which you actually keep a rigid lockdown for the next few weeks to try and get to zero spread, because at that point you can really start letting your foot off the brake. Kids back to school, people back to work on a slowly, steady basis. So there's no right or wrong answer here, unfortunately. If it was 20, 30% spread, there'd be no question, close down the schools. At 10%, if schools go back, then you are going to have social distancing. You are going to have to check parents for fever and kids for fever. You're going to have a lot of hygiene in place, which in some public schools where it wasn't there before. So this is not an easy question to answer. But if they do go back, it's got to be with social distancing, because you can't let schools become another source of infection. The modelling suggests that if 70% of the Australian population complies with social distancing, like we've got now, we're almost at lockdown, then the numbers will keep on going up or stay stable. At 80%, you start to see the curve going down. And so it's that high degree of population compliance with social distancing. It's the only thing that really works to control this epidemic.
What is the death toll? It's been relatively low in Australia compared to other countries. What does it tell us about how Australia's been handling it?
Look, we're a success story. It's fantastic news. I said right at the beginning I'd love to be proved wrong, and we have got everything going in the right direction. If it wasn't for the Tasmanian cluster, we'd actually be down at quite low levels. Remember, we're talking about 3-day, 4-day, 5-day rolling averages here, because you can't really go day by day because there are too many variabilities in how the states are reporting. So we're doing quite well, and we've got good health facilities and people being protected. It's also about the dose of the virus. I think part of the problem you see in New York City with high population density is I suspect people are getting high doses of the virus when they get infected, and they're getting more serious illness. So I think that the case fatality rate is complicated by place, geography, social circumstances.
Now, Norman, the holy grail, of course, is a vaccine. It could be 12 to 18 months away, but as you and many other experts have pointed out, we may never get there. We may never get a vaccine. So I want to put a hypothetical to you. In the worst-case scenario, we don't, our brightest brains here in Australia and around the world do not come up with a vaccine. How do we live our lives in that circumstance, looking ahead 1 year, 2 years, 5 years?
I think what we'll get before we get a vaccine is a treatment. There's a lot of research going on into treatments, a lot of possibilities here. And just think about it, treatment could be a game changer. We've not eliminated the streptococcus, which can give me 15% of people a sore throat or middle ear infection, yet we have antibiotics and we're able to control it. So antibiotics during World War II saved lives. We've not eliminated bacteria. If we get an effective treatment for this virus, then we can control it, and so people will not die. We'll get a nasty form of the flu. So I think that we've got a bet each way here. We've got a vaccine, which may or may not happen, possibly not. But I think a treatment of some kind for people who are ill with this virus may well come sooner, and that would be a major game changer. And I think there's a cause for optimism.
Hey, Norman, tell us about this online art project you've been involved in. Good of you to try and help with kids and keeping them occupied.
Yeah, this happened. We've done a couple of kids' episodes of CoronaCast where they recorded questions, send them in, really cute 4-year-olds sending in questions about the coronavirus. And a couple of sent in paintings, and they were really funny about how the virus spreads and a closed sign. I just got this idea, I think, well, why wouldn't we have... Initially, it was an art competition. I thought, no, it should be an art exhibition. And the Art Gallery of New South Wales, and it should be curated professionally. So the Art Gallery of New South Wales has taken this up. It's called Together in Arts, and using any materials that you've got at home, get the kids into it, 5 to 8 years old, 9 to 12 years old, and expressing themselves. The theme is the inner world. We've got an Archibald Prize winner stimulating this at the moment. And if you want to know more about it, you go to togetherinarts.org/kids. It's a ABC Art Gallery of New South Wales project.
Oh, it looks fantastic. Thank you very much, not only for bringing us that, but for joining us this morning.
You're welcome, Lisa.
Thank you, Norman Swan. And we can't say this often enough. Get on CoronaCast. Do yourself a favour. Find it at the place you get your podcasts. It is essential listening in these times. Yeah.